And that's why it's getting hot, I can feel the heat. It's too cold, I can feel the street. I'm just trying to make it through the day, not in my head trying to feel the beat. I'm trying to feel the beat. I'm trying to feel the beat. I'm trying to feel the beat. You gotta feel the beat. I'm trying to feel the beat. I just wanna feel the beat. I'm trying to feel the beat.
Feel the beat. 257 people have fallen victim to gun violence in the United States over the past 72 hours. Is now a good time to talk about gun reform?
The George Croom Experience, presented by Ad Closure, the secret agent of top agents. Is your home being marketed or is it just listed? Tell your agent you want Ad Closure marketing to help sell your home faster.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the George Croom Experience. It is Thursday. We are now in December. It is almost time for Christmas. Almost time for Christmas. I can't even explain to you how fast forward I feel life has happened since 2020. We went from a time where we were on complete slowdown to I feel like since we got out of 2020 and entered 2021 and then 2022, these last 2 years have flown by. But we're here. We made it. And we've been through some tough times, but I think that we are headed out of the woods. Housing market's still a little iffy. Interest rates are really, really high. And we could be going towards a recession, but we as a people are stronger and better because of what we've been through, and we made it. We're here. And we're here right now with the George Croom Experience. And I'm so happy that you are. Let's pay some bills. So the George Croom Experience is presented by Ad Closure, the secret agent of top agents. Talk to your agent about adding Ad Closure marketing and sell your home quicker. That person is not beeping at me. If you can hear that beeping, that is not happening to me. Maybe they're just saying, hey, man, this is a really great show. Listen, that's what they're doing. Let's get into it, Kep.
Almost 500 workers have lost their lives in Qatar to prepare for the World Cup. Is it worth it?
So a Qatari official placed the number of World Cup deaths between 400 and 500. They spent about $200 billion building stadiums, building infrastructure to get ready for the World Cup in Qatar. And to know that a lot of these people that have built these things, a lot of this infrastructure that has been created was created by migrant workers. People coming from places where and in Africa and other places where they didn't have a lot of money, so they needed to go make money for their family, and going to Qatar to help them set up for the World Cup was one of the ways that they did that. Almost 500 of those people didn't get back home. And they weren't making crazy amounts of loot. We're talking about $200 billion was spent on the infrastructure. Somebody got paid, but it wasn't really the workers. And reports say they've been working under terrible conditions, and of course they're still dealing with the horrible human rights issues that they have there in Qatar. And yeah, a lot of these people lost their lives in pursuit of the World Cup, and that's hard. It's been really hard this World Cup to watch it because of the things that come with this World Cup, whether from One Love armband to just Qatar as a whole, just being who they are. It's just been really hard to swallow some of what comes with this World Cup. And that's sad because I love the World Cup. Like I said before, I love it. But having to hear these things over and over again and knowing the cost, the human cost of this World Cup, it's kind of sucked the fun out of it for me. I don't know about you. If it has for you, if it hasn't for you, fantastic. And that's great. And there's, like I said, no judgment zone here. And I hope it hasn't, because it's not supposed to be a time when we think about all that other stuff. It's not supposed to be that, but it's hard to detach myself from it because it's right there. It's blaring. It's in our face. All right, bring us in, Kep.
Is Tiger Woods on the fast track to retirement?
So Tiger Woods may be playing on borrowed time. And we've seen this coming from when he got caught in his sex scandal back all the way back then to this recent, I think it was about a year and a half ago now, when he had the accident. And he said the other day he's had 2 surgeries just in this last couple of months to handle issues. At one point he said that they thought they might have to amputate part of his right leg after that accident. So it's not hard to conceive that we might be seeing the end of Tiger Woods. And he said he's going to dial back. He's going to start doing just the major tournaments, and maybe 1 or 2 more sprinkled in there. But he said his body's giving out. Can't walk the courses. Struggling to make it through an entire tournament. I mean, I'm talking about 72 holes. And it can be tough. It can be tough to walk just 18 holes for anybody who doesn't have an injury. To actually have to walk that, knowing what his body has been through, even before the accident, what he was having to go through just to get up and down the playing surface. Yeah, we might be seeing the end of it. And it's been a great run. Anybody who looks at Tiger Woods and says that he's not one of the top 2 or 3 golfers. I mean, there was at one point when we were going to crown him the number 1 golfer. And in some respects, I still say that if you factor in everything that Tiger has been able to do for the game, from how he was able to expand the game, from the perspective of race, how he was able to get people to watch golf who would have never watched golf any other time. Yeah, I'd say that we have to put Tiger number 1 if we're counting the entire body of work. If we're just talking about the field of play, though, I'm still probably gonna slide Nicklaus up there right above Tiger when it comes to play. I mean, championships matter, right? So I feel like we got to slide him just that one little, it's such a tiny notch above Tiger. But if we're counting the entire body of work, everything that Tiger has brought to the game, it'll be a sad day. It's going to be a sad day when Tiger Woods finally says he's not going to play golf anymore. You don't get to see Tiger throughout the year. And I don't know if golf has anybody who can bring people in the way that Tiger did. They don't have another. Tiger Woods was a one of one. Tiger Woods was absolutely a one of one, and it's going to be tough, not just for fans, but for the game of golf to fill that void. Because Tiger has been golf for a lot of people for a long, long time now. And seeing it go, seeing that era end is going to be a sad day when Tiger actually hangs up his cleats. You can hate the person. And I know I'm going to get comments. You can hate the person, whatever. You don't like what he did. You don't like who he is morally. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about pure player. I love Tiger. I love Tiger as a golfer, and I love what he's done for the sport of golf. And I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss seeing Tiger Woods play golf. Let's bring us in, Kep.
Deion Sanders turned Jackson State around in less than 2 years. Could he be leaving for bigger gains at a major Division I school?
So Deion Sanders, prime time, in case you don't know, is the head coach for Jackson State's football team. Jackson State is a HBCU. They play in the SWAC, and they're down in Mississippi. And he went there in 2020 and took a team that was 4-3 in their spring season. He turned them around to being 11-2 team last fall, and this year they're undefeated. They're going to play in the SWAC championship this weekend. But he's brought in top recruits, Travis Hunter being one of them. Travis Hunter was being looked at and sought after by the biggest D1 schools, the Alabamas, the LSUs, and Travis Hunter said, no, I'm going to go down to Jackson State and I'm going to play for Deion Sanders. Deion did that. Primetime did that. So this is a school where Walter Payton played at. So this is not just, some HBCU and a lot of HBCU history. And I'm probably going to start opening this up a little bit too, to give you guys that HBCU history. I mean, look, I'm HBCU educated myself. So I care about HBCUs and how we look at them from a historical perspective, especially when it comes to sports. Seeing players like Travis Hunter go there is not a new thing. It's just new to this era. So we haven't seen those top recruits go there, but it used to be that was the only place that some of these black players could play at. Back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, like they really wanted a true shot, a true chance to play and show their talent and do what they love to do. They had to go to HBCUs. things started integrating, opened up, and then they could go to other places. And now you see the HBCU struggling to pull in talent. But a person like Deion Sanders said, I'm going to go here and I'm going to turn this program around. So this week, seeing reports that Deion Sanders could potentially be courting jobs from bigger D1 schools. Colorado was one that he said offered him a job. He wouldn't speak on the other ones, but I can see how schools would look at a Deion Sanders, see what he's done down at Jackson State, and say, we want that guy here. Especially for Colorado. Colorado, I think they lost like 4 or 5 starters to the transfer portal last year. Yeah, he would absolutely shore up that hole. You're not leaving if you got primetime as your coach. Who better than a Hall of Famer in the NFL to come in and teach you how to get to the NFL if you're a D1 prospect? So yeah, I can see why they would want Deion. Do I want Deion to leave? No, but it's not my decision. That's that man's decision. It would hurt Jackson State to see Deion Sanders leave. It would hurt HBCUs to see a Deion Sanders leave. Unless it's a 1-for-1 swap. Unless we start pulling in top coaches from higher D1 schools to go to these HBCUs and truly turn around programs and get kids in. It's hard to see guys like Deion Sanders who actually showed a true passion to bring top talent to that HBCU and to show the world that HBCUs are still here. It'll be hard to watch a coach like that go to another D1 school, but I can understand the money and just advancing in your career as a coach. I can understand why Deion Sanders might be looking to go somewhere else. But this is almost like Tiger. Watching Deion Sanders leave an HBCU to go coach at a bigger D1 school, that's going to hurt. Show's about hurt apparently today. That one's gonna hurt, and I just hope that they can fill the gap somehow. I hope that there's some way that these HBCUs can start to fill a gap, even if it's a person like Deion going to some of these coaches and explaining to them why they should go to HBCUs. Especially if you're a struggling coach at a higher D1 school, and it shouldn't be seen as a demotion to go and do great at an HBCU. See it as an opportunity to lift up a program and also prove that you've still got what it takes to be a head coach. But we need top coaches who have coached at that top level or played at that top level to come to these HBCUs and bring these programs back to what they were before they had to compete against the money. And that's really what it is. We'll be right back.
Is Washington supporting labor or hijacking the railway negotiations? Next on the George Croom Experience.
G1 Commercial is a proud sponsor of the George Croom Experience. Stay tuned because more is coming up after this break.
What is an asset-based lending philosophy? An asset-based lending philosophy focuses on assets instead of income. Let me explain. A traditional mortgage requires the borrower to prove they make enough income to cover their mortgage payment and all other debts. The amount of your income used to pay your debt is limited to somewhere around 50%. This means that if your debt is greater than the maximum debt-to-income ratio, your loan is denied. An asset-based loan doesn't use your income to qualify. It uses the property securing the loan and its ability to generate cash flow or appreciation as the primary qualifier. In a nutshell, G1 Commercial Mortgage is a bank alternative mortgage finance company for real estate investors. If you get denied by a bank or do not want to go through the traditional bank underwriting process, give us a call.
Welcome back to the George Croom Experience. I am George Croom. I am always joined by the interstellar woman of mystery, DEC. And today, DEC, I want you, DEC, to tell people what we're going to talk about tomorrow. Listen to this.
Allowing the police to remotely control weaponized robots will just turn policing into a video game where more innocent people will likely be injured and killed by the people who were meant to serve and protect them.
So that's our thoughts. Tomorrow we're going to talk about robot cops. Thank you, DEC. Bring us into this next segment.
Does the government have the right to force a labor deal on the railway workers?
All right, so I don't believe, and let me start this by saying I've lost friends over politics over the last year or so, a year or two. Let me start by saying if I am a Democrat. Like I ran for office as a Democrat. So as it stands right now, I'm a Democrat. I vote for Republicans from time to time? Yeah, sure. Because there's good Republican candidates. Not everybody is bad. Not all Democrats are good. So let's just throw that out there. But in this one, I think the Democrats are getting it wrong. When there is and I get it. If the railway workers go into a strike on December the 9th, and here's the issue right now. The railway workers haven't had a raise like the one that they've been trying to negotiate. They haven't had a raise of over, I think, 3%, 2 or 3% in over 40 years. So while the rail industry is making record profits year after year, they're not paying their workers. Oh, by the way, they're working under terrible conditions where they can't take days off. They don't have any sick leave. So you're driving these guys and women into the dirt and then expecting them to still come to work and be happy about it while you make record gains profit-wise, but you don't share that with the workers. And so they've been trying to negotiate, and there's a bunch of different unions that need to come together to make this thing happen. But the government looking at it and saying, well, if they go into a strike, we're gonna have a real issue, because that means that the nation's logistics is basically on a two-tiered system at that point. We're down to shipping and we're down to air, because rail will be taken out of it. That means cars, that means grains, that means food, whether it be livestock or whether it be other types of food. A lot of those things get shipped on trains. Oil, everything else, all of that gets shipped on trains. So if you shut down the rail system for any amount of time, everything in the United States comes to a screeching halt. However, that I tend to say, you know what? Maybe we should let that happen so that this massive conglomerate of rail has to listen to their workforce. But if Big Rail knows that the government's going to come in and undercut the workers and what they want, because sure, they might get a record gain in this contract. It's something like 25% is what they were talking about. They may get that. They may also get these $5,000 bonuses that are retroactive all the way back to 2020. Sure, they may get that. However, we're still looking at the fact that they may not get the new work rules that they've been looking for. And look, I've been through union negotiations. When I was a flight attendant, we had to negotiate with the airline all the time. And I promise you, every single time these things happen, it tends to lean towards the company just giving money. And I call it hush money. Here, we'll throw you some money. Be quiet. We're still going to work you to death. And there's no recourse for you. That's tough, man. That is really, really tough. Because at the end of the day, the money can only take you so far. If you're not enjoying a high quality of life because the way you have to work is driving you into the dirt, and you're worse off when you get home than when you're there, I mean, what good is the money in that situation? Thanks, but no thanks. So I don't believe that Democrats seeing the writing on the wall and getting a little fearful should be stepping in to force a deal down these railway workers' throats. I'm with every one of the liberals who says they're not going to support it. Good for you. Don't support it, because that's why we have unions, so that people can negotiate and so that people can have control over their own work life. That's what a union is supposed to be there for. And if the government is able to swoop in and take a little semblance of that away from you and force you to take a deal because they see other problems happening because of the deal you're trying to get for yourself, I don't think that's the government's job. I mean, we might as well let the other side kill jobs and kill unions if we're going to just start forcing unions to take deals because it looks bad that they go on strike. We'll be right back.
George unveils a new gun reform ad, next on the George Croom Experience. The George Croom Experience, presented by Ad Closure, the secret agent of top agents. Is your home being marketed or is it just listed? Tell your agent you want Ad Closure marketing to help sell your home faster.
Wait, shouldn't every video your team puts out draw an emotion? Take the viewer on a journey. And highlight your markets as places they can live and call home.
In Baltimore, African American children living in poverty with low educational opportunities are 14 times more likely to die from gun homicide. As a leader in the Army National Guard, I've watched morale die with the 12 veterans that take their own lives every day by firearm suicide. I worry daily about my son's safety. I'm a legal and responsible gun owner at home, but I'm not there to protect him when he goes to school. I won't be there later when he's playing basketball with friends, when he makes a request to go to the movies, or when he attends church with his Grammy. I'm a concerned father, husband, and gun owner and understand that we need gun reform, especially in cities like Baltimore where I live. Every day on the George Croom Experience, I'll ask, is now a good time to talk about gun reform? Email me to understand my plan, george@georgecroom.com. I'm going to let it speak for itself. Be good to each other. See you tomorrow.